Imagine a planet that's like 3 times the mass of Jupiter, but it's completely enveloped in these massive oceans of liquid nitrogen.
Right. Just absolutely freezing,
Exactly. And it's hurtling through the pitch black void of interstellar space at like 500,000 miles an hour.
which is just a terrifying speed.
It really is. And the thing is, it has no start to orbit, no sunrise, no seasons, no warmth at all.
Nothing. Just totally isolated.
Yeah. And according to the research notes we're doing our deep dive on today, this is from a source called Ziko Space Stories, there aren't just a few of these anomalies out there.
Oh, not at all.
Right, there are millions, maybe even billions of these so-called ghost worlds drifting out there in the freezing dark. So welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
Glad to be here.
Mm.
Because, it's such a staggering thought. We all carry around this, I guess you'd call it a cozy mental model of what a planetary system looks like.
Sure, like the little dioramas we made in school.
Exactly. We picture the sun as this massive, comforting anchor, right? With all the planets dutifully marching around it in these neat, predictable little orbits.
It feels safe. It feels like an ordered system.
It does. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the existence of rogue planets completely shatters our traditional understanding of what a planet even is.
Because they're just completely off the grid.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned to define a world by its relationship to a host star. But these are untethered, unanchored objects. They exist entirely on their own.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because going from the warm, predictable image of Earth safely orbiting the sun
Right?
to the chaotic reality of millions of lonely, wandering monsters aimlessly drifting through the void, I mean, that is a massive leap in logic.
That's a huge paradigm shift.
It really is. So before we look at what these things are actually doing out there in the dark, I want to understand the mechanics for you all listening. How does a planet lose its home in the first place?
That's the big question.
Like, how does a massive planetary body just, well, get evicted?
So, to understand that eviction, you really have to throw out the image of the stable, orderly solar system we live in today.
Okay, throwing it out.
When you look at the early formation of a star system, it is an incredibly chaotic environment. You don't just have 8 neat planets settling in determinate grooves.
Right, it's much messier than that.
Way messier. You have a massive disk of gas, dust, and protoplanets all just jockeying for position. It's what physicists call an n-body gravitational problem.
Which basically means everything is pulling on everything else.
Exactly. You have multiple massive objects migrating inward and outward, and they're constantly tugging on each other's gravitational fields.
Yeah, because gravity isn't just a tether to the sun. Every planet is interacting with every other planet simultaneously.
Yes, it's a very delicate, very violent dance.
And I was looking through the original source notes from Ziko's Space Stories, and they initially tried to compare this chaotic environment to a cosmic game of billiards.
Right, I saw that.
But that analogy, it doesn't sit quite right with me. I mean, billiards is about kinetic impact, right? Physical balls smashing into each other.
Right, like a direct collision.
Exactly. But here we are dealing with orbital mechanics. It's not about 2 planets physically crashing together. It's more like, well, like a gravitational slingshot.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, picture 2 ice skaters holding hands, spinning around each other incredibly fast.
Oh, I like that visual.
Right. And if one of them suddenly lets go, the transfer of angular momentum violently throws the other skater completely across the ice.
Yes, that is a vastly more accurate way to visualize it. What you are describing is the transfer of orbital energy.
Okay.
So when a smaller, newly formed planet migrates a little too close to a massive gas giant, say, like an early version of Jupiter, they enter this complex gravitational dance.
Right, they hold hands, to use the ice skater thing.
Exactly. They don't need to physically collide.
Mm.
The larger planet's immense gravitational well essentially steals orbital momentum from the smaller one. Or, conversely, it transfers so much kinetic energy to the smaller planet that it violently accelerates.
And it accelerates so much that it essentially breaks the speed limit of the solar system.
That's right. In physics terms, we say it exceeds the escape velocity of the host star.
So the star just can't hold on to it anymore.
Exactly. It reaches a speed where the star's gravity is basically useless. It is a catastrophic, forceful ejection.
Just totally kicked out of the
The
neighborhood.
smaller planet gets whipped around the gas giant and launched out of the ecliptic plane entirely. It's not some, slow, gentle drift into the sunset.
Right.
It is an immediate, violent expulsion into the interstellar medium.
And once it crosses that threshold, once it leaves the gravitational boundary of its sun, that's it.
That's it. Point of no return.
Because there is no friction in the vacuum of space to slow it down. It just keeps moving at that ejection speed forever.
Forever. It becomes an orphan of the cosmos. And what's really fascinating here is the sheer scale of this phenomenon.
Right, it's not just a one-off event.
No, not at all. Astrophysicists now theorize that our own solar system likely had a fifth giant planet early in its formation.
Wait, really? A fifth giant?
Yeah, an ice giant, sort of similar to Neptune. And they think it was ejected by Jupiter in this exact manner.
Oh, wow. So Jupiter just bullied it right out of the solar system.
Pretty much. So this isn't some rare freak accident. Ejecting planets is a fundamental byproduct of how galaxies organize themselves.
Which brings us to the physical reality of these wandering monsters, because once they are locked out of the house, so to speak, the environment they enter is deeply hostile.
Oh, incredibly hostile.
Stripped of a star's heat, the physical transformation of the planet must be absolute. I mean, we are talking about deep space temperatures hovering around 3 Kelvin, right?
Yeah, 3 Kelvin, which is just a few degrees above absolute zero.
That is just incomprehensibly cold.
The temperature drop is catastrophic.
Yeah.
Without constant stellar radiation bombarding the surface, the planet's atmosphere simply cannot remain a gas.
It just collapses.
Literally. The gases we typically experience as an atmosphere like methane, ammonia, and nitrogen, they literally freeze out and collapse onto the surface.
And according to Ziko's space stories, we aren't just talking about a light dusting of snow here.
No.
We are talking about entire atmospheres liquefying and then freezing solid.
Yeah.
Oceans of liquid nitrogen. Endless, sweeping fields of methane ice covering the entire globe.
It creates a completely alien geology. At those temperatures, water ice isn't like the ice in your freezer. It is as hard as granite.
Wow. Water as bedrock.
Exactly. It forms the literal bedrock of the planet, and then the methane and nitrogen sit on top of it, creating this completely dead, frozen crust.
I want to push back on something here, though.
Sure, go ahead.
The notes from the source material lean really heavily into this metaphor of the dark forest.
Yes, they do.
They describe these rogue planets as cosmic bullies and frame them as this terrifying, imminent threat to our solar system.
Right.
Now, for anyone listening who follows sci-fi, dark forest usually refers to Cix-and-Liu's Fermi paradox theory, right?
Yes, the idea that alien civilizations are hiding from each other out of fear.
Exactly, hiding in a dark universe so they don't get destroyed. But here, the notes are using it literally, right?
They are. They are stripping away the sociological aspect of the Fermi paradox and applying the raw, physical reality of the metaphor.
So the forest itself is literally dark.
Yes. The interstellar medium isn't just empty space. It is a physical dark forest. Because these rogue planets have no sun shining on them, they reflect absolutely no visible light.
Making them invisible.
Completely. They are massive, they're moving at thousands of miles per hour, and they are virtually invisible to optical telescopes. They're just wandering through the dark off the grid.
Okay, I get the spooky imagery. It's very cinematic. But space is incomprehensibly huge.
Right.
I mean, the distance between stars is so vast that you could fire a shotgun blast of planets through our galaxy and probably never hit a single star system.
You're not wrong.
So the statistical probability of one of these rogue planets actually colliding with Earth has to be infinitesimally small. Are we overstating the threat level just for the sake of a good story?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right that the probability of a direct kinetic collision with Earth is practically zero.
Okay, so we're safe from a direct hit.
But that is fundamentally misunderstanding the nature of the threat. The danger isn't a physical impact. The danger, once again, is gravity.
It's the ice skater effect all over again.
Exactly.
They don't actually have to hit us. They just have to pass through our neighborhood.
That is the core of the issue. Our solar system is a very delicate, finely tuned gravitational balance.
It's like a mobile hanging over a crib.
Right. If a rogue planet with 3 times the mass of Jupiter silently drifts through the Oort cloud, which is the very outer edges of our solar system, its immense gravity would act like a massive disruption wave.
Just by being nearby?
Yes. It would perturb the orbits of thousands of comets and asteroids, potentially sending a deadly shower of debris directly into the inner solar system.
And what if it came even closer? Like, say it passed near the orbit of Neptune?
Then the gravitational pull could easily overpower the sun's hold on the outer planets.
Yeah.
It could destabilize Neptune or Uranus, completely changing their orbits.
Which would mess up everything else.
Because all the planets are gravitationally linked, yeah. That disruption would cascade inward. It could easily shift Earth's orbit just a few degrees.
And we all know what happens if Earth's orbit shifts.
That's not good.
No. even a tiny deviation from our current distance to the sun would either, boil our oceans or plunge us into a permanent snowball Earth ice age.
It would be a slow, silent doomsday.
Man.
We would likely never see the rogue planet coming until its gravitational effects began ripping our delicate orbital balance apart.
So we just see the other planets acting weird first.
Exactly. We would simply notice the orbits of the outer planets warping, and by then the mathematical outcome would be locked in. We could be pulled entirely out of the habitable zone.
Okay, so we've established that they are these invisible, freezing, gravitational wrecking balls that can silently dismantle a solar system.
Which is bleak.
Very bleak. But, and this is where I'm stuck on a contradiction in the source material.
What's that?
We just spent all this time establishing that these rogue planets sit at 3 Kelvin, the methane is frozen, the nitrogen is liquid, the water is as hard as granite rock.
Right.
Wouldn't the absolute cold of deep space just penetrate all the way to the core of the planet over billions of years?
You would think so.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because Ziko's space stories hypothesize that these wandering monsters might not actually be completely dead.
That's the twist.
Right. They suggest the possibility of subterranean oceans of liquid water. How is that even scientifically possible when it's that cold?
It seems entirely counterintuitive, doesn't it? But you have to factor in the internal physics of planetary bodies. A planet doesn't just receive heat from a host star.
Right.
It actually generates its own internal heat.
You're talking about the core, like radiogenic heating?
Yes, radiogenic decay is the primary engine here. Deep inside the rocky core of a planet, you have massive quantities of radioactive isotopes.
Like what kind of isotopes?
Elements like uranium, thorium, and potassium-40. And as these isotopes naturally decay over billions of years, they release an enormous sustained amount of heat.
So the core of the planet is basically acting like a slow-burning nuclear reactor.
It's exactly what it's doing.
Completely independent of whatever's happening on the surface or in the void of space.
Exactly. And there's another potential heat source too, tidal heating.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, if the rogue planet managed to hold on to a massive moon when it was violently ejected from its home system, the gravitational push and pull between the planet and its moon would physically stretch and squeeze the planet's interior.
Kind of like kneading dough.
Exactly like that. This constant flexing generates immense internal friction, which translates into even more heat.
Okay, so you have this intense geothermal furnace at the center, but it's surrounded by space that is 3 degrees above absolute zero. Why doesn't that heat just rapidly radiate away into the vacuum?
Because of the very ice we were just discussing. The miles and miles of frozen water, methane, and nitrogen on the surface act as an incredibly efficient cosmic insulator.
Oh, I see. So it's essentially acting like a giant thermos. It traps the core's energy inside the planet.
In a practical sense, yes. While your everyday thermos uses a vacuum layer to insulate, here we are talking about massive thermal mass and the low thermal conductivity of thick ice.
The heat just can't get through it.
Right, the frozen crust physically prevents the geothermal heat from escaping into space. So you have intense heat pushing up from the core and an impenetrable freezing layer of ice pushing down from the surface.
And trapped in the middle, between the fiery core and the frozen shell, the temperature normalizes. The ice melts.
It creates a vast pressure and temperature zone where water can actually exist as a liquid.
That is wild.
And we actually see this exact mechanism in our own solar system.
Wait, really?
Look at Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Enceladus. Their surfaces are completely frozen solid. But beneath the ice crusts, they harbor massive, churning oceans of liquid water.
Kept warm by that internal heating.
Exactly. So a rogue planet could easily maintain a subterranean ocean hundreds of miles deep, completely shielded from the freezing void of space.
That completely rewrites the biological rulebook. I mean, for you listening, imagine the implications of a subterranean oasis like that.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
We are talking about massive, warm oceans existing in total, absolute darkness. No photon of starlight has ever touched this water.
Never.
Now, life on Earth is almost entirely dependent on the sun. Photosynthesis is the foundation of our entire food chain. Plants turn sunlight into energy, and everything else eats the plants.
Right, that's the standard model.
So if there is absolutely no sunlight, how could life possibly survive, let alone evolve, in a rogue planet's ocean?
Well, it forces us to look past photosynthesis and examine chemosynthesis.
Chemosynthesis.
Yeah. We used to believe that life required sunlight unconditionally. But then marine biologists discovered deep-sea hydrothermal vents at the very bottom of Earth's oceans.
Oh, right, the black smokers.
Exactly. Down in the pitch black, where no sunlight penetrates, superheated water from the Earth's mantle spews out of the crust, carrying dissolved minerals and toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide.
And instead of plants using sunlight to make energy, you have these extreme microbes using those chemicals.
Yes. Extremophile bacteria have actually evolved to oxidize the hydrogen sulfide. They literally use the chemical energy from the geothermal vents to produce ATP.
Which is the basic energy currency of life.
Right, entirely bypassing the need for a sun.
Yeah.
And these bacteria form the base of an incredibly complex alien ecosystem right here on Earth.
Support, like what kind of life?
While supporting giant tube worms, blind crabs, and entirely unique species that look completely alien to us.
So apply that to our wandering monster. In the pitch black ocean of a rogue planet, you could have millions of active hydrothermal vents along the seafloor spewing out chemical energy.
There is absolutely no biological reason why chemosynthetic life couldn't take hold there. It provides the water, the heat, and the chemical nutrients.
The three fundamental pillars for life as we know it.
Exactly.
But they would live their entire evolutionary timeline, millions, maybe billions of years, without ever knowing what a star looks like.
It's incredible to think about.
They wouldn't evolve eyes to perceive light because light simply doesn't exist in their universe. They wouldn't possess any biological concept of a day or a night or a surface or an atmosphere.
Their whole reality is just water and heat.
Right. To whatever terrifying, fascinating creatures might be swimming down there, their entire universe is just a warm, dark, churning ocean capped by a permanent, endless ceiling of impenetrable ice.
And this realization completely flips the script on how we view the universe as a whole.
How so?
Because if life only needs an insulated pocket of water and a warm radioactive core, it doesn't need to be anchored to a star at all.
Oh, what?
Given that there are likely billions of these rogue planets drifting through the galaxy, they might actually be the most common sanctuaries for life in the entire universe.
What an unbelievable conceptual shift. I mean, we started this deep dive looking at a violent orbital ejection.
Right.
Then we realize these orphan planets become invisible, gravitational wrecking balls drifting through the literal dark forest of space.
A huge threat.
And now, the ultimate irony. These terrifying frozen doomsday worlds might actually be the ultimate pitch-black terrariums, carrying ancient, completely alien ecosystems safely through the interstellar void.
It demands a total reevaluation of our place in the galaxy. We really have to discard the illusion that solar systems are these closed, safe, isolated sanctuaries.
They aren't safe at all.
No, the broader galaxy is fluid, chaotic, and heavily populated by massive bodies that play by a completely different set of physical rules.
The boundaries of what is habitable and what constitutes a threat are just far wider than we ever imagined.
Vastly wider.
The dark forest is full of things we can't see, operating on rules we are just beginning to understand. And that brings me to one final chilling thought to leave you with today.
Let's hear it.
We know these rogue planets are virtually invisible to our current optical telescopes. They emit no light, and they drift silently.
Right.
We know there are potentially billions of them out there, untethered and wandering. So I want you to consider the vast, icy perimeter of our own solar system, the Oort cloud, stretching trillions of miles into the dark.
Yeah.
What if one of these massive ghost worlds is quietly passing through that perimeter right now?
It's entirely possible.
Drifting completely undetected just beyond the reach of our instruments, perturbing the comets in the dark and carrying a hidden, churning ocean of sightless alien life right through our very own cosmic backyard.
That is quite the thought.
Something to think about the next time you look up and appreciate the comforting light of our sun. Keep questioning the dark, everyone.